To It's Been Said. I'm your host, Kat Wade, and Kat is spelled with a K. So excited to be with you this cheery, somewhat windy, seasonal evening. We are a weekly radio broadcast where we empower individuals for positive living, because a negative mind will never give you a positive life. We are a safe outlet where guests can share their stories of how they have overcome challenges to live their desired life. Storytelling is awesome, and all of us have a story to tell. Our guests share personal life stories from their lived perspective. Everyone is born into a once-upon-a-lifetime story. We're just looking for our happily ever after. Hello, beautiful people. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Merry Christmas, everyone. Now, I know some of you had some problems with the website and streaming, and Into Honor Communication apologizes for this. So some of you missed the show last week. It was awesome. Tariq's variety show, Christmas version. Well, now seems to be okay. And, well, we're tuned in. Hopefully, if you're listening on the internet, you've got it. You know, one of our special sponsors and performers for our 1-year anniversary party was Mr. Shine Wendell Hayward. And he has a special event coming up soon. So, from Denji Productions, highly appreciate your support in the past and want you to ensure you that you have the information surrounding their next big event. It's Mr. Hayward's 70th birthday celebration. Can you believe it? Mr. Hayward is 70. He don't look a day over 35. Well, in honor of Mr. Gene Steed, and the date is set for, guess what? Saturday, Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2026. At 6:30 p.m. And the venue, the Hamilton Princess Beach Club. It's a black tie affair. Price, $170. So after you've paid all your bills for Christmas and you're looking for something to do in February, here is the event. Its theme is Me and My Music. You can get the tickets on www.bdatix.bm. That's www.bermudatix.bm. The hosts will be none other than Nadunja and Nashanti. They look forward to your continued support and celebrating this milestone in Mr. Hayward's life. And he wants to wish you and yours a happy and healthy Christmas. Sincerely, Wendell Shine Hayward. Okay, Mr. Hayward's 70th birthday, February 14th, 2026. Tonight, I am in the studio with a very distinguished gentleman who I have had the opportunity to know for many, many years. Dr. Royland Sams, optometrist, the CEO, founder of Atlantic Vision Care. He was the principal sponsor of our 1-year anniversary celebration party way back in September. He's also my brother-in-law. He is the husband of, guess who? Shonarika, my co-host on Sister Talk. He's a very busy guy. And having him in the studio is an exceptional pleasure. Please greet the beautiful people of It's Been Said for us, Dr. Sams.
Good evening, Bermuda. Glad to be here.
So, we're going to hear his story, so please stay tuned. So you know, beautiful people, what time it is. Time for my monologue. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, this is my last monologue of the year. That's right, there's no show next week. So, we'll be back in 2026, but this is my last monologue for 2025. And it's entitled, Great Expectations. When I was in high school, one of my classes was English literature. And one of the books we had to read was the popular classic, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. In fact, not only did we read the book, we also watched the movie. We watched the movie in black and white. That's how long ago it was. The themes and scenes were studied and dissected for a whole term. They covered wealth, love, rejection, good over evil. Apparently, it was titled such because of the main character, an orphan named Pip, whose desire was to become wealthy and marry a beautiful woman. One character that stood out in my mind was Miss Havisham, a wealthy, eccentric woman who had worn her wedding dress and one shoe since the day she was jilted at the altar by her fiancé. In the movie, even the wedding cake was left with cobwebs all around it. Her whole house was unchanged as well. A sad predicament indeed. Well, I've decided to carry the theme of great expectations into my life for the year 2026. Why? Well, because for the last few years, I have decided to give each year a focus. In 2024, my theme was New Beginnings. In 2025, it was self-determination. And I can honestly say all were met with some fulfillment. So not only high expectations, but great expectations. So what is expectation? Well, expectation is spurred on by belief. The stronger the belief, an occurrence is likely to happen, the higher the expectation. The opposite of expectation is great disappointments. A significant birthday took place for me in 2020. Family members were to come to the UK to celebrate, and you all know what happened. COVID-19. So all events and trips were canceled. Great disappointment. I'm sure many of you can remember anticipating a great event. Expectations can be high, only to be disappointed. Well, I'm going to stick with my theme for great expectations for 2026, and I have created a 3-point foolproof plan to support my theme in 2026. Number 1, don't place a limit on possibility. All things are possible. Number 2, take life as a wonderful surprise. And there are people in my family who know I don't like surprises, so this was interesting for me. But don't take life as a wonderful surprise. And third, finally, choose to believe that great expectations does not mean that everything works out the way you think it should. It means that everything works out the way God desires for it to be. You know, the book Great Expectation, it actually had 2 endings. One was sad and bleak. Then, because of advice, Dickens changed it to reflect a happier ending. And I believe that 2026 will end the same way with my 3-point plan. It says in the good book, everyone who looks up to him, trusting and expectant, will gain a real life, an eternal life. John 3:15. So that's my monologue, my last one for 2025. Great expectations. Now, as I always do, I leave the phone lines open if you want to call at 297-1027 or 1-888-257-9086. Maybe you have a theme for next year. Maybe you have some goals. Maybe you're just happy that you actually believe that 2026 will be a certain way. You just want to give some positive vibes or gratitude. The lines are going to be open just for a couple of seconds at 297-1027 or 1-888-257-9086. Mine is Great Expectations. And I wouldn't mind if somebody reminded me in December 2026 of what my theme was. Okay, 297-1027 or 1-888-257-9086. I don't see the phone lines ringing or lighting up, so guess what? We are going to go into our interview. Yes, indeed. All right. Good evening, Royland. Again.
Good evening.
Yes, it's great to have you in the studio tonight. Founder of Atlantic Vision Care and major sponsor for our party. So let's begin this way. Tell us a little bit tell our beautiful people a little bit about yourself, your family, and your career journey.
Well, that usually starts with explaining why very few people can seem to pin down where I'm from, so I'll explain it.
Okay.
I'm, to the surprise of many people, I'm actually born in Jamaica, in Kingston.
Okay.
And my family left Jamaica when I was 4. Made it to Canada.
Right.
And so I spent most of my early years, my formative years in Canada, both Ontario for a very short period of time. Quickly moved to Montreal, lived there for 8 years, moved out to Edmonton out west for another 5 years. So by the time I graduated from high school, we moved to the United States. So my freshman year in college in the States was living in San Jose, California.
Okay.
There for a little while, then kept on moving and moving. It's the story of my life. A lot of moving around, a lot of passports.
Okay. Yeah. So that was your formative years, sort of Jamaica, Canada, America, and your career-wise. How did you move into from college to career decisions?
Sure. Well, along that journey, while I was in undergraduate at Atlantic Union College in Massachusetts, I ran into a young lady.
I wonder who.
Yeah, I wonder who. Happened to have been from Bermuda, and up to that point, I didn't know a soul from Bermuda.
Wow.
So I think I was 18.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of my friends, while I was there, just kind of fell into close contact with a lot of Bermudians.
Who were some of these people?
Oh my goodness! Well, Harry Bean, Terry Dean, Tracy Johnson, Tracy Richardson.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people.
Wow.
And some as small as the island is, some people I have not seen. I'm here, they're here for the last 20-odd years. Haven't seen them once.
Really.
So yeah.
But
definitely part of kind of the process when I met my wife, soon to be or later to be wife. In a rush, right? We eventually. I eventually moved on from there. I didn't graduate from Atlantic Union College because at the time I was pretty much supporting myself for the most part. I think my parents did what they could, but their philosophy in life was they kind of get you started on the way, and you really have to make your way after that. And so that was a normal thing for me. But I started racking up the loans, so I was like, okay, all right, nice school, I'm having a great time, but it's time to get out of here. And so I moved to State University of New York in upstate New York, little town called Plattsburgh. And finished up my undergraduate there. Went from there to the Ohio State University College of Optometry in Columbus, Ohio. And so I spent the next 4 years in school there. And after graduating there, hung around for another 3 years. In my second to last year is when we got married, right? So I guess we decided not to wait till I was done. But we stayed for another, as I said, another 3.5 years or so, and just to kind of get started in my profession, get my feet wet, get some experience. But she wanted to be back in Bermuda.
Okay.
So as you know, we jetted on back with our very young son Jordan at that time. I think it was maybe I think just around 2 years old. When we came in 1998, and so this has been my home ever since.
Bermuda.
It wasn't my first time, because I'd actually been here in my travels earlier on, and I think as early as 1987. So I've seen a lot of change on the island.
Absolutely,
and I've actually lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else.
I'm thinking, definitely. Little Bermuda, wow. So, Island Boy came back to be Island Boy.
Yeah.
Full circle. Yeah. Okay. And thank you. And you have a daughter as well, right?
Yes. So she was born here in Bermuda in 2000.
Shout out to Raina and Jordan.
Yes.
Yes, and Shanarika, family listening in.
And Raina's now her husband.
And she's married. Yes,
Taylor.
Yes. Taylor. Absolutely. The family grows. So, thank you for that. And thank you again for being the major sponsor of our anniversary party. Tell the beautiful people, why did you want to invest in this particular venture?
Well, I think the simple answer to that is I think the program is I think it serves in a really essential need.
Okay.
That I think is really well timed. I think Bermuda really needed it. I think, as we all know, Bermuda is it's very much like a small town.
Sure.
And people go through what they go through in their corners, in their silos.
You're absolutely right.
And there's a lot of experiences that don't become shared experiences that we can't learn from each other and, cross-pollinate or iron sharpening iron if everyone is afraid to speak out publicly. And it is very much a Bermuda thing, right? People don't want to be embarrassed or put themselves out there. So I think this show, I think, is really helping to break down that cultural taboo. That people become more comfortable. And so that's sort of an easy thing to sponsor something like this, because I think it does a tremendous good for the community.
Wow, thank you. And basically, that's what we wanted to do. That was our intent, to be able to give people that opportunity to share their story, their narrative. And I must say, the year and a bit that we've been having this show, I've seen people very courageous, very brave, and very influential, telling their story, and people responding in a positive way to it. So thank you. So appreciate that. So now let's go into the business section, because that's what you are. You are, even though you're an optometrist, business is pretty much what you're involved in. What was your mission and vision when you first started Atlantic Vision Care? And how has it evolved over time?
Well, I think the vision was kind of encapsulated in our motto, cutting edge vision care that's close to home. So I think at the time, it just seemed like there was a need to sort of modernize some things in how we deliver eye care on the island, and it just seemed like there was a bit of a gap there.
Okay, you're coming from America, you're coming here, and you're seeing this sort of need.
Right. So there's just a view that I had as to how things could be done that I didn't see it being done anywhere. And I was at the time working initially for the late Dr. Henry Simmons. Who was tremendously generous to me in allowing me to have a lot of latitude in how I served patients. But even he wasn't prepared to kind of take some of the bigger moves that I was seeing.
Interesting.
So I just felt it was something I wanted to kind of venture out and do.
Okay. And how has it evolved over time? What are you seeing? You had the vision. Has the vision changed? Is it the same? Are you still making those inroads in the gaps, or?
Well, I think every business goes through, sort of like any business or institution goes through its growth phase.
Sure.
And then you can sometimes hit a plateau, and heaven forbid you hit decline. I'm trying to avoid that part.
Absolutely.
But I think we're certainly at a very mature phase.
Because how long now have you?
So what? 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it almost doesn't even seem right, but
it doesn't. Whoa.
Yeah, we're on our third location, 23 years in, and so I think you try to reinvent yourself. It does get harder.
Sure.
It gets harder, definitely, and as it grows and you get you have a lot more people around, it becomes much harder to steer. At the beginning you're like a little punt. Go any which way very quickly. Very agile, and as you grow, it becomes much more difficult. But we still try to kind of stay current. If anything, try to stay ahead in some areas. But again, it does get more difficult.
Okay. What were the biggest challenges you faced in the initial years of your ownership, and how did you overcome them?
Organization. You go to school to be a clinician.
Sure.
You don't go to school to be a business person.
No.
I'd taken accounting and some of these other courses, but that's an entirely different story when you are setting up a business that has to actually function on its own. And fortunately for me, at the beginning it was myself, my wife, and a dear friend of mine, Cornell Fubler. Who at the time was, I think he was finishing up as, he was working for Ernst & Young. As a fairly senior level accountant. So he had that side of things that I didn't have. Got it, yeah. And so he even really, to be honest with you, he encouraged me to make the jump to do it in the first place. And I was like, look, this is the deal. I have some ideas as to what I want to do, but if you're telling me I should jump now, well, you better be there to catch me.
We're jumping together.
So absolutely. And he was there. So that side of things was the greater challenge for me. I'm not a manager by nature. That's the weakest thing the weakest part of me, I think, is managing people. I'm more of a visionary, more of a person who I like to be a builder to see things come to fruition.
Yeah. You come with the ideas, you come with the thoughts and whatever, and somebody
need somebody to actually put things together and implement it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've gotten better, but it's definitely not my natural.
Now they have business coaches. I don't know what that means, but I guess there'd be somebody who kind of would lead you and guide you. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would certainly help, and I think to a large degree, I think I've always had people around me that could serve that purpose.
Okay.
To kind of keep things going in the right direction.
Absolutely. So, having close people beside you and trusting people is important when you're starting out.
Tremendously.
So, how did you determine which new technologies and equipment are worth the investment for your practice? Because optometry involves a lot of machinery.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as complicated as it looks in the sense that there are certain things you need to accomplish clinically, right? There are certain sort of buckets, if you will, of things that you need to examine, and there are certain ways to do it. And it's just a simple matter of, well, what is the best piece of equipment in this area to accomplish this this task or need? And I've always functioned by the philosophy that, you get the very best that you can possibly afford, because of course, by the time you've paid the duty to get the equipment landed,
oh my gosh,
you can't just swap that out.
No. You can't put it on Emu or,
exactly. You don't have a ready market to buy it.
No.
Healthcare is something that changes rapidly, and it's changing faster and faster and faster as time goes along.
Sure.
So to stay current, you have to just buy the most cutting edge thing you can possibly afford, and then try to make it last as long as you can. But no, if you're staying current, you're staying plugged in, conventions and whatnot, and reading and staying in touch with what your patient's needs are, then you should know what it is you need to bring in for these different areas, and hopefully you can afford to do it.
Yeah, and Bermuda's a small place, so is it that some people would sort of maybe go into something more highfalutin, but I guess in Bermuda you can kind of sort of keep things more current at the same time, less,
Yeah, you have more leeway.
Okay.
If you're in the middle of London or New York City or something, there's 1,000 people on that block who are competing with you directly.
Yeah.
And there's obviously much more pressure.
Absolutely.
So that does give you a little bit more breathing room in Bermuda. But again, cutting edge vision care that's close to home, we've always viewed our competition, so to speak, as not the Bermuda market, but everybody knows. Everybody gets on the plane. They get off the plane. What do? They go straight to Florida Mall or wherever else, or into Manhattan, and they go to get their eyes examined. So that is our competition. That is we've always seen it that way.
Yeah.
So we believe that Bermuda there's no reason at all that Bermuda shouldn't have been able to function on that international level to be on par. So that's kind of the guiding principle.
Okay. Just a sort of a little segue. Optometry. How did you get into that field? What was the sort of the hook that got you into optometry? People don't know what optometry means. Some people say, "What's that?" They say, "Eye doctor," but
a lot of confusion. Optometrist, optician, ophthalmologist.
Yes.
And that definition even changes whether you're in the UK or you're in North America. North America, where I was trained, the optician does the sort of the hands-on, the fitting of the glasses, the selection of the frames, the adjustments, the contact lens, and fitting and instruction in some places.
Right.
But the part in the examination room is the optometrist. It's a doctor of optometry degree.
Okay.
And so that's a different sort of animal to optician. But if you're coming from the UK, people will use that term interchangeably.
Yes, they do.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, the ophthalmologist is a physician that then studies, or is trained in surgery.
Got it.
There's a lot of overlap between what we do, mind you, right? So if you're in the North American realm, we treat eye disease, we treat glaucoma, we deal with, and diagnose what's going on with diabetic retinopathy and macular degeneration and all these things, right?
Yeah.
And so it is there is a lot of overlap between what we do. And ophthalmologists sometimes will even do glasses and contact lenses. So there's definitely a meeting point, but there's a point at which we hand it off, just like your GP would hand off to a specialist.
Right. Okay. Wow. So, but how did you get into optometry?
Well, I think it was a high school career fair at church where I first kind of heard about it.
Right.
but it didn't kind of settle in my mind. I knew I wanted to do something either in healthcare or in law. And those are two just completely opposite.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
So I started going towards the law thing my freshman year. Right?
Wow.
That was my goal, constitutional and civil rights law. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't want to spend the rest of my life essentially having a homework assignment every day.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
The writing and the reading.
Yes.
So I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. So I quickly flipped over to the healthcare realm, and I had a list of things I was looking at, but eventually kind of in narrowing it down, this is pre-internet, you go to the library, you pull all the different brochures and books, and you figure out which one you're more, you like more. Visited some people. And when I went to some offices, optometrists are always the most friendly, always the most engaging people who really encouraged me. I had set up with a couple of ophthalmologists, but neither one of them even came out to talk to me.
Look at that.
So one even stood me up. I came to the office. And so it's like, okay, I didn't take it personally, but clearly there's something that says something about that profession in your day-to-day that just... So I decided optometry is it for me.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so now we're going to look at, I guess, the Atlantic Vision Care workplace. How would you describe the workplace culture you've cultivated? And I've been a part of Atlantic Vision Care, and I can sort of say certain things about it. And how would you describe the workplace culture you cultivated, and what do you look for in new employees?
That's a very difficult question to answer.
But let's look at it from a standpoint, not what you will find, but if you could have a magic wand.
Sure, right. Because that's often two different things. The culture has changed quite a bit over the years, right? So it started out as a mom and pop thing when it was very small. Myself, my wife, and then a receptionist, Marcia Butterfield, who was with us for many years. And that kind of went for quite a while. And I think people got used to that, right? Small, I would be out front, help people select their glasses. I'm in the back making the glasses at the end of it. So it was definitely a mom and pop operation.
Sure.
You fast forward to when we moved to our next location, we got a little bit bigger, we started adding more people, and the culture started to change, right? It became much more difficult to hang on to that mom and pop feel. Now, by the time we get into our current space, we got even bigger again. Now you're talking, depending on when you catch us, 15, 16, 17 people. That's a whole different animal. Now, you can't be mom and pop anymore. No. So that kind of shifted the culture. And then you start to go from steady long-term employees. Now, there's a little bit of turnover. And it becomes much harder to maintain the culture that you want. Compound that with the fact that I'm now not in there on a day-to-day basis, right? Because now I have moved to more of a management role than a clinical role.
Sure.
It starts to shift, and you see your personal imprint start to fade a little bit.
Look at that.
And so we're in that phase right now of what is that next era? What is that next phase? What do we want this to look like going forward? Where it's not just a personality-driven thing, right? It can't be me forever.
Yes. Understandable. So if you could have a magic wand, and you wanted someone to come in and work at Atlantic Vision Care to help people with, because I think glasses are very personal. It's not only just the eye care. Now I've got to wear something on my face that everybody's going to look at that I can't see.
Very personal.
So what kind of person would you want, or somebody would be interested in, to work in the field?
Well, it's usually somebody you've got to be highly intelligent to begin with, because now you're dealing with an entirely different language, right?
Oh, right.
You're dealing with the whole prescriptions, the numbers, the lenses. Now you're dealing with optics and all sorts of different stuff. It can be complicated, and it can take well over a year to get somebody fully settled in what they're doing,
up and running in a way that's.
Some people can make it all the way through that, and some people can get discouraged before they get there. But it has to start with somebody that is switched on. Right? You got to be somebody who's able to think. Able to think abstractly. When you're adjusting a frame, somebody comes in, the thing is crooked. It is not obvious how to actually go about fixing that.
Bend it, twist it, turn it.
It's not and to do it without breaking the frame, right? And damaging people's very expensive eyewear. So. You have to have a lot of different talents. You have to be sharp. You have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be a problem solver. And you have to have a lot of empathy, right? You have to be very patient, have a lot of empathy for people, because you come across all sorts of... you're dealing with a child that's wearing their first set of glasses.
Look at that. Yeah.
They're terrified. Sometimes they're in tears.
Yeah.
You have to be able to help them.
Stigma attached with, oh,
exactly. You got to help them work through that.
Yeah.
The person who's coming in just trying to reinvent themselves, kind of get a new look.
Yeah.
So you need to have a lot of different skills and talents, and that is very hard to find. Very, very hard to find. And we are pulling from a very small pool in Bermuda.
Sure.
And oftentimes people who have that full complement of skills, they already have a job.
Sure. Yeah.
Those are usually the people that have jobs.
Would it work well if you had someone who was retired and wanted a new skill set, to learn, who comes with all those tools of patience and, understand that sort of thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've not managed to find someone quite like that in the past. And I think perhaps because of the fast, depending on which part of the practice you're working in, mind you.
Right.
But if you're a frontline staff person, you really want... kind of leans towards younger.
Yeah,
you're on your feet. You are running around. It is very hectic, very busy. There may be 100 people that come through that door in a day. Ooh. So you'd better be on your P's and Q's. So it requires a certain amount of energy for sure.
Yeah.
I think a retiree could do it, but that would be a very
We've got some young retirees out there, right? Beautiful people. Yeah. Anyway, you're listening to It's Been Said, and we've got Dr. Roland Sams in the studio with us tonight. And so we're going to our next question. Dr. Sams, Roland, how do you ensure a healthy work-life balance for yourself, and what systems do you have in place to support that?
Oh, you want the honest answer?
Well, it's been said. We tell it like it is. It's your story.
Yeah, the perfectly honest answer is I'm terrible, absolutely terrible at it.
Oh, dear.
That is not...
I've
not succeeded in finding that perfect work-life balance, which, to be honest with you, is one of the reasons why at this point I'm semi-retired.
Okay.
Because I don't have a middle speed. Right?
Okay.
I don't have a 90%.
Yeah, it's drive full force.
I have 110% all the time. Okay. That's exactly how I approach things all the way along. So, for many years, it's just go, no stop. It could be, as I jokingly with people, but I'm dead serious. There have been many days I've left the office. I'm passing Johnny Barnes on my way home.
Ooh.
Right? I'm waving at Johnny on my way home.
Wow. That's
and then
amazing.
turn around and come back and start again.
And Johnny's still there.
Still there.
So I see you a couple hours ago, Dr. Sam.
Yeah, so figuring out work-life balance, I'm not the one who's going to be writing any books on that anytime soon.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I ever really figured it out.
Right.
I think some people are just not wired to actually do things that way, and I think I'm one of those people. It is all or nothing. It is perfection, and anything less than that.
Right, you're not satisfied.
Yeah, never satisfied.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to drive Cornell crazy with that, and he'll tell you when is it enough?
Yeah.
And it's not about numbers and it's about, are we maximizing the best that we can possibly pull out of any particular aspect? Yeah.
Have you met anybody like you?
I mean, I'm sure the people out there.
Have you met anybody like you?
Well, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure that I actually have. Ironically, I think in some ways my father's like that.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And he likewise, I think, was retired in his 50s, his early 50s.
Yeah, but he's still working.
Still working. But he, I think in a lot of ways, and maybe that's where I got it from, I don't know, but is just full steam ahead.
Yeah. Full on, as they say in England.
Full on. There's no half-stepping. Yeah.
Look at that. And successful at the same time. So, yes, indeed. But I think if I were to sort of bring into a spent, you have a spiritual side to you.
Yeah.
You are a spiritual person. And so that somehow maybe supports that element of your work-life balance being that, I know who and what I am.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to sort of give what I am without any sort of, apologies.
Right.
Right. This is just who I am.
Yeah.
So, what is the most significant leadership lesson you've learned since becoming a business owner, a practice owner?
I think you have to have some guiding principles, right, as to how you do things.
Right.
Otherwise, you can get kind of pulled in a lot of different directions, and you can get distracted by a lot of things.
Sure.
And you kind of mentioned it, the spiritual aspect. As a Christian, I have to function by Christian business principles, right? So that dictates how I do things, right? So you have to approach things with a level of honesty, integrity, that you are doing it not just in a way that you think, but how God would expect you to do
absolutely,
it. Right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what you have to answer to at the end of the day.
Right.
So you may have an opportunity to make a little bit more here, a little bit more there, but if it's not entirely how God would have you to do it, then that's out of bounds. Right?
Yeah.
Now, as a Seventh-day Adventist, I'm not going to have the office open on Saturdays. We could make a tremendous amount of money. That's one of the busiest days of the week for a lot of offices. In North America, that would be almost unheard of to be closed on the weekend. But we honor that, and so that's why, of course, we close half day on Friday, which is a good thing for the staff as well, to have at least a little opportunity to kind of take care of their own needs. Right. So it works on a lot of different levels, but that is a guiding principle, right? And I'm not changing from that for any amount of
23 years is what you've done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. And so for you, these principles that you've maintained have been, in a way, an example of keeping in sync with what you believe. And people have seen and benefited from it in that way. Wow. Okay, so now we go into, I guess, patient care. How do you ensure the practice, Atlantic Vision Care, consistently provides high-quality, state-of-the-art patient care?
Well, you have to stay, again, you have to stay current. You have to keep up your education, which you're obligated to do that anyways to stay current for, keeping your license active and whatnot, which I still do, whether I'm in the examination room or not. Right.
Still doing those courses, still attending them.
Absolutely, still doing them.
Yeah.
But I think if you're honoring that part of your professional responsibility, then that kind of, you really have no choice but to stay current, at least in your thinking, because you're aware of what's new and what's the current thinking, and when it comes to disease processes and treatment, and that's, as I said, it changes very, very fast. So
sure.
I think as you become mature in your professional experience, if somebody who's coming straight out of school is going to have a lot of skill sets that you just don't have.
Yeah.
But the advantage you have is certainly experience.
And,
that maturity, which kind of helps, offset that.
Right. Yeah. And I know in our conversations, you have been able to diagnose some very, I guess, life-changing situations in people. It's not just going and getting your eyes tested and getting glasses. What are some of the other things that, I guess, within your field that you've been able to sort of highlight and observe, especially in Bermuda?
Yeah, well, look, your eyes are part of the rest of your body. It's connected to the rest of your body, right?
Yeah.
And unlike almost any other part of your body, when you look into the eye, you're seeing vasculature, you're seeing blood vessels right there, in a living, functional person. Very, very
sort of intense too. They're all sort of connected very closely together.
Yeah, and so because of that, now that brings into play a lot of different systemic diseases are going to affect how that vasculature looks, how your retina functions, how the rest of the eye functions. And so a lot of things will present themselves in changes in the eye even before you see it anywhere else. And diabetic retinopathy is a perfect example of that, right? So if you are looking, you can certainly identify, diabetic disease in someone long before they even know they have a problem.
No way.
Right? So you have to, so you're not just looking at the eye for the sake of just the glasses and whatnot.
Right.
But you're looking at it's a part of the whole, a holistic approach. What else is going on with this person that I might see in their eyes? And just any number of systemic diseases will have some sort of sign or some sort of effect on the eye that you can identify.
Give examples. Beautiful people are wanting to know. So if I go to my eye doctor, what could he find? Recently I had someone come and say that the eye doctor said they have glaucoma, or they're looking to have, or they could have, moving toward glaucoma. Really? How would you know that?
Well, I mean, glaucoma is certainly an example of a silent sort of disease, right? It's referred to as a silent thief of sight.
Ooh, yes.
Because there's no sign or symptom, right? Your 20/20 vision, until it's quite advanced, you are not going to feel anything. You're not going to notice anything. But if we're looking in the eye, again, we're examining the optic nerve. We can see the degenerative nerve changes that are happening, right? And again, long before, by the time you notice something is going on, like you're losing your peripheral vision from the sides, you've lost 60, 70% of your nerve tissue permanently.
Permanently?
Right? Permanently.
Wow.
So there's no way to reverse that. So, that's an example of one type of disease that we look for, which is very common, especially in the Black population, and especially for people over the age of 40. We're definitely looking out for that. We're looking out for diabetic changes. And, of course, the obvious ones that people know about, cataract and macular degeneration and some of these other things.
Right.
But, there's a lot of textbooks full of all the other things that can go wrong: genetic diseases, other lifestyle diseases, metabolic disease. There's just a lot that can present itself that can affect the visual system and or the nervous system as a whole. Because of course, your eyes are connected directly to your brain.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. What did it say? The eyes are the windows to the soul.
To the soul. Yeah. And it's very true in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways.
Look at that. Wow. So, and I said, I guess you kind of answered that in a way. Like, how do you stay updated with the latest advancements in optometry and continue professional development? I think we've kind of touched on that.
Yeah, that's the core of it for sure.
Yeah. So, what optometric issues concern you most in Bermuda?
Well, we were talking about glaucoma. That's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Because there's no signs, right? So people aren't getting their eyes examined on a consistent basis. And you see this in particular in the Black population, in particular in the Black male population.
Wow.
It is just the amount of times you see that, and it breaks your heart every time you see it. Had you been in sooner, had you been proactive in your eye care.
Yeah.
So, healthcare is not getting any cheaper.
No.
And eye care is no different. It's an extremely expensive, healthcare service to deliver.
Sure.
Because of, again, we talk about all the equipment and whatnot that goes into it. And so a lot of people avoid care. They're not getting the care that they need, and that's a concern because we, on the one hand, have to provide the care and stay a viable business.
Yes, yeah.
And on the other hand, people need care that they're not able to always afford. Not everybody has good insurance.
No.
So, look, government's trying to approach that as to how they deal with it. We have our own processes where we work with the Lions Club, and we work with different community organizations to sort of help people who cannot access care. But there's the vast majority, they just never go. And they don't know that they have some of these problems until their sight starts to suffer. And a lot of times it's, you're so far down the road, there's not always something that you can do to reverse the process by the time they finally show up at the door. That's very unfortunate. I'm living in the United Kingdom, in the NHS. There are two aspects that I see that suffer in this NHS: is dental and eye care. Yeah.
I don't know why, but
they're seen as not critical and essential, right?
Yes, exactly. And I'm wondering in Bermuda, it's similar kind of situation. So you don't take care of your teeth, therefore you're not able to eat or masticate as you should, and it affects the way you process food, how it goes in your system, and of course other things. You don't take care of your eyesight, and so therefore those things you could avoid early on. Yeah,
not only do you suffer visually, right, and how you function in society. And the vast numbers of children who, I can't remember the specifics of the study from a lot of years ago, but I think it was something like 30% of children in special education, they just simply had a simple vision problem. There was nothing wrong with the child. They just couldn't see, right? So there are all sorts of effects when people don't get care. They don't get consistent. Parents don't bring their children in until they think they can't see it. When the child could be compensating. They're getting by. They don't know any different. Right. So you have educational effects. Children who are impacted that way because they didn't receive consistent care. Right. And you have adults who are not, when they don't get care, not only do they miss the opportunity to have better quality of vision to function in a world that is so visual, right?
Absolutely.
But they miss the opportunity for how an eye exam can pinpoint so many other systemic health conditions that show up in your eyes first, right? So it's a lost opportunity on so many different levels when people don't see consistent care. So it has to be consistent care throughout your life, whether you are 20/20 or not.
Exactly. Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, my whole family wears glasses. My children started wearing glasses when they were children. And that was important, and I guess looking at it from a hereditary standpoint, my husband wore glasses when he was young. I think he was 7, and so children followed through, Thankful that we had the opportunity to have it, but, for some, it does not always come that way.
Right.
This wasn't actually in the questions given to you, but I have people come to me, and remember, beautiful people, you can call. We're going to give a chance for you to call after the interview, so get those phone lines ready if you need to ask Dr. Sams a question. You don't mind if our people call in?
Sure, no,
okay,
fine.
Great. Driving at night on the roads with these lights. What are your thoughts around that? I mean, you can't wear sunglasses, at night to block from the lights.
That's highly unsafe.
Yes, but those lights,
it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. I think when I was in the exam room full time, I got that question multiple times per day, every day.
Yeah,
every day. It's a serious problem in Bermuda. The cars are not designed for these roads.
Yes.
It's that simple.
I'm gonna take this call. Magic 102.7 FM. You on the air?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. In spite of all the pain, but I'm fine.
Great.
Still moving about. I woke up this morning in my right mind. And I'd just like to ask a question. The disease, retinitis pigmentosa, I heard that many people in Bermuda has that. I have it, but I have the unusual kind because my tunnel vision went first. It usually with retinitis pigmentosa. The peripheral usually goes first. So when I went away, when I was born, they kept on telling me it was my mom that it was night blindness because back in the day they didn't have all the equipment that they have today, and it kept on eye drops, and finally I think that was Mr. Simmons, Henry Simmons. I think when I was a certain age, my parents take me to. I went to New York to Bellevue Medical Center, and that's when they diagnosed me with retinitis pigmentosa, which you have no night vision.
Right.
No night vision. And I had peripheral for a while. Like sometimes I think I still have it, but I'm classed as totally blind anyhow. And back of my eyes, my nerves are crushed like hamburger. Like that's what they say it. The currents and the rods. So I've been to Johns Hopkins and Bill's Eye. So it all came down with the same conclusion.
Okay. Wow.
So it's retinitis, but I hear of many cases here in Bermuda, and I think a lot of people have night blindness, but sometimes, like you said, don't go to a specialist or doctor and don't know. What it is.
Is that something that is diagnosed where you are, Dr. Sams?
Yeah. No, that's a normal part of what we'd be part of that diagnostic process. We would, ultimately refer to the ophthalmologist. But no, I mean, retinitis pigmentosa. To be honest with you, I think I've come across in the 40 or 50,000 exams I think I've done on this island.
Wow.
I lost track at 40,000, but it's. I think I've seen that. I want to say twice.
No.
Yeah. So
when I talk to people, they say that, and I said, okay, but a lot of people do have night blindness, but you get night blindness from
what reasons? I guess that's the issue.
But I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, when I was young, they said I used to walk into different things, and that's how they kind of picked it up. Like back in the day, like I said, the doctor, he done his best.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But keeping in mind, quite often with certain eye diseases, oftentimes the GP is the first point of contact, and then the GP refers directly to the specialist.
Right.
Yes.
So that can skew the numbers that I perceive what I see on the island, because a lot of times some of these patients, they just go straight past the primary eye care level and go straight to the specialist.
Straight to the specialist. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I was I was annually going to the specialist, but I really thought that was a waste of money because I already diagnosed what I had. Going to the specialist is just spending a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
That you don't have. So I just usually go and go to the optician, or the last time I was Atlanta Vision. That was a couple of years ago. Years ago.
Yeah.
But it's just to get your eyes checked. I only went to just really see but the pressure and all of that was my cat,
Because all the other aspects you still have to take care of, whether you have RP or not. You have to, there's no reason to think you're not going to get something else, right?
Right.
Yeah, you still need your day-to-day, eye health monitored and taken care of, certainly.
And I, like I said, I've been many places, so they all tell me the same thing. So it's just regularly trying to get an eye checkup every year and a half or 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It can come up.
Okay, caller. Well, I think.
And I just thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I thank you for calling and encouraging people to get their eyes checked.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, caller.
Yes, KY. God bless you.
God bless you too. Magic 102.7 FM. You're on the air. Magic 102. Oops. Please call back, caller. Wow. Yeah. Magic 102.7 FM, you're on the air.
Hello. How's it going?
Great. How are you, caller?
I am doing well. I just had a question for Dr. Sams here.
Sure.
I wanted to know what sort of effect marrying someone such as his wife has had on growing his business to where it is now.
Well, you absolutely have to marry the right person, right? if you don't have, you're not paired with somebody who has a tremendous amount of patience. Number one, and very flexible, right? Because my wife had to basically step in as unpaid labor for quite a few years.
Mercy.
Before we could afford to have staff to do certain things. So, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going into any type of business. You absolutely want to know that you have the right partner. Because that makes all the world of difference. And I can certainly say that I was blessed with a wife that I have. That she was certainly, side by side with me the whole way. So that absolutely makes a difference.
So it's like the chicken before the egg. Did you choose the wife because she knew she could support you, or did she?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I probably technically met her before I knew what I was going to do. But, so she certainly didn't discourage me from doing it.
Does that answer your question, caller?
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your time, and the show is wonderful. I love the show.
This voice sounds very familiar. I think it's my favorite pilot.
Wow. Well, thank you for calling, caller. Yes, and you take care.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
much.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Magic 102.7 FM, you're on the air.
Hello there.
Hello.
Very, very interesting and interesting show. Sorry about that. I wanted to address the lighting. What's happening today is a lot of people are driving with their high beam on. Of course, we all know that the white light is a problem to begin with. But there are glasses you can use, yellow glass. I'm sure the good doctor knows about them. That at least make the light yellow so it's not as irritating. But in general, I think the biggest problem is that the modern technology allows that cars actually have to detect you before they shut their high beam down.
Mm-hmm.
If the person is driving with their car on auto lighting,
Right.
you can make it so you can drive your car on manual.
Right.
Now, a couple of years ago, they actually ran an advertisement reminding people it's unlawful to have your high beam on with other people in other people's faces. But of course, some people are not purposely doing it. They don't realize that the auto lighting is the problem. It will only shut off when it detects an oncoming vehicle. And as the good doctor said, when you're going around corners and up hills in Little Bermuda, it imposes a big problem. If you guys probably notice, every time somebody's hitting the crest of a hill, it appears the high beams are on.
Yeah.
And that's because the car has to get over the hill before it detects you. It shut the beam down. Yeah. So what should happen is, and this is where you are going to come in, sir. You need to get the people in the eye business to lobby the government to make it unlawful for people to drive with the auto remote on and drive only on manual.
I think
so that problem doesn't exist. The other thing needs to happen is the powers that be, i.e. the Road Safety Council and all those guys, need to run regular ads that remind people it's unlawful to drive with a high beam, because somebody actually told me they didn't know it was unlawful. I found that very interesting. So these are the problems that are happening when it comes to the automobile lighting today. And you know what caused a lot of it is the influx. When Bermuda reached a point where it was a high labor force that were expatriates, then they are used to the American system and the Canadian system of turning the lights on early. So it even made it even more of a problem, because people are driving around. This is happening in the evening and the daytime even.
Right.
The culture has changed.
Well, let me address that, I guess, in the time that we have. I'll say this, because I think you've touched on some excellent points. But there's some things that we can and cannot control, right? Like, first of all, these cars are made in countries that are not Bermuda. Right, so they're made to suit the jurisdictions, be it Europe, be it North America, are largely the drivers of technology, and they're dealing with a completely different circumstance as far as the width of the roads, how the headlights, how the distance of the cars apart from each other, for one thing, right, and how far the lights need to project down the road. When you're driving 60, 70 miles an hour, that light needs to project a good ways down the road in order to have a reaction time. Right, so the cars are designed to deal with that. They're not designed for our short and small, curvy roads where you're constantly turning into and towards people at a very close distance. And there's not much, unfortunately, there's not much that government can do about that specifically.
The only thing you can do realistically is drive with your car on manual mode.
Well, let me say, So to address that, let me say this: there are only, in my experience, and I do know quite a bit about cars as a kind of a hobby of mine. Most cars do not have, they have the auto on function, but they do not have an auto high beam function. Those are typically BMW and certain other European brands and higher level, more luxury cars that have that. I've owned cars that have that, right? Where they will go to high beam when there's not a car there, and then they have a sensor that will cut it back down. But the vast majority of cars that we sell on the roads here in Bermuda, the Kias and the Hyundais and the Hondas, the Toyotas do not have that function. Very few of them actually have that.
I think the Bermuda, that's probably the most guilty car of it. That one, for some reason, has that technology. But that's why people love them.
Yeah. But, keep in mind that there's a lot of people out there who have cataract and other type of visual issues that are more sensitive than they might otherwise be when it comes to that. But by the same token, they also have difficulty seeing, and you notice a lot of our roads are not as well lit as they used to be. If you think back to the 80s and the 90s, right, we were much more consistent with the lighting of the roads, and so now people are forced to turn their high beams on until a car comes and they may forget, right?
That's right.
Yeah. But you make a good point. You make a good point.
One of the things I've said is it should be made, a priority for Western engineering to put the yellow line, even if they're not paving. Keep the yellow line for the safety, especially of our tourists. We may not know our roads well. So, good point. But So I thought I'd be helpful, and,
yes, sir.
And at least the girls that are guilty, at least they kind of have a heads up.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Cola. All right, take care. All right, bye-bye. Well, yeah, those are very important points. See how important eyes are? I mean, so my last question for you, Dr. Sams. I know we're moving on. If you could give one piece of advice to someone considering private practice ownership, what would it be?
Ooh, have a lot of patience. a lot of patience and a lot of energy. It's not for everyone.
Okay.
It absolutely is not.
Right.
I think it's just like any other business, right? And not everybody wants to do that, wants that side of it. For a lot of people, they want to just help people. They want to help people clinically.
Sure.
That's what
deep in my heart, this is something I've always wanted to do.
Exactly. But you don't necessarily want to be a business manager, an accountant, a finance. You didn't want to do that side of things.
Right.
And so if you're not prepared for that, do not go into private practice.
Right.
It will run your life.
Sure.
Right. If you're not prepared for it, it takes over your life. I mean, you live it, you breathe it 24/7. I've been on cruise ships in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm doing payroll.
Wow.
While the rest of the family is running about and enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing. If you are not wired for that, it's don't because
do
it's and you have a lot of lives, the employees, the staff, the people that work for you who depend on you making the right decisions and being plugged in and managing, because you can mess people up. If you mismanage the thing, it runs into the ground. You didn't just mess up your own finances. You messed up all those people that were working for and relying on, depending on you. I think it has to be something you 100% want to do, because it requires a lot of you. And there's no on or off. It is full time.
Full time. Full on, as we say it.
Full on.
Full on.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much, Roland. Thank you for your insights, your words of wisdom. Bermuda can see better because of your vision. And I'm looking forward to possible further partnerships with It's Been Said and Atlantic Vision Care. Absolutely. So thank you. And beautiful people, I thank you for calling in. You were spot on, as I know you would be. So I'm going to give you an ad. When was the last time you had a comprehensive eye exam? At Atlantic Vision Care, they believe that every patient deserves personal attention and professional care, and that's their foundation. They are a full-service eye and vision care provider, handling everything from scheduled appointments to unexpected eye emergencies. Their dedicated team takes the time to explain every exam and procedure, answer all your questions, and keep you at ease. Patients from all over Bermuda come into Atlantic Vision Care because they trust their commitment to their comfort and eye health. For a further and higher standard of care, choose Atlantic Vision Care. You can call them 295-7300 or eye care at Atlantic or eye care at avcltd.bm, or visit atlanticvisioncare.bm to book your appointment today. And I have one next week. Cutting vision care that's close to home. So thank you, beautiful people, to listening to It's Been Said. Everyone is born into their once upon a lifetime story, and we live to experience our happily ever after. What about you? If you have a story that you believe is uplifting, please send me an email at coolcat, KOOLKAT00 @hotmail.com, and we will get in contact with you. Thank you to you callers for calling in, and to you beautiful people for listening in. You can follow us now on Facebook, and It's Been Said with Cat Wade, or Instagram, It's Been Said with Cat Wade. As I said, next week there'll be no show as we take a break for the holidays. We will meet in the new year with our charity partners, Dignity House, and other beautiful people who will tell their stories. So from It's Been Said team, beautiful people, thank you for your support. Enjoy this time, and please be safe. We will continue to meet together every week to hear everyday stories of ordinary people who have overcome challenges, finding ways to cope, and to live extraordinary lives. Because, as we say, a negative mind will never give you a positive life. So
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now. Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.